Wildlife conservation in ecotourism destinations. Title: Wildlife conservation in ecotourism destinations, striking a balance between preservation and enjoyment. Introduction. Ecotourism has gained immense popularity as a sustainable form of tourism, promoting the conservation of natural environments and wildlife. A key component of ecotourism is the preservation and protection of wildlife in their natural habitats. Wildlife conservation is inherent in the concept, as it aims to protect the biodiversity and ecosystem integrity of the destinations. By promoting sustainable practices and minimizing negative impacts, ecotourism can contribute to the protection of wildlife in these areas. However, the presence of tourists can also pose threats to the fragile ecosystems and wildlife populations. Balancing the desire for tourist activities with the need for wildlife conservation is crucial. 3. Ensuring sustainable tourism practices. Effective wildlife conservation in ecotourism destinations relies on implementing sustainable tourism practices that minimize negative impacts. These practices include limiting visitor numbers, managing visitor behavior, maintaining adequate infrastructure, and promoting public awareness of conservation. By doing so, the delicate ecosystems and wildlife can thrive while visitors enjoy meaningful experiences. Interpretive centers and guided tours can play integral roles in enhancing visitor awareness and understanding of the ecosystems they encounter. By fostering a deeper appreciation for wildlife, visitors are more likely to engage in responsible practices and support conservation efforts. 5. Encouraging local involvement and benefits. Wildlife conservation initiatives must actively involve local communities to ensure their long-term sustainability. Engaging locals in ecotourism activities not only provides economic benefits but also encourages their active participation in conservation efforts. Community-based projects can empower locals to become stewards of their natural heritage, strengthening the connection between wildlife conservation and ecotourism. 6. Managing human-wildlife interactions. In ecotourism destinations, encounters with wildlife are often a highlight for visitors. However, these interactions must be carefully managed to avoid disturbing natural behaviors or causing harm to both animals and humans. 7. The role of research and monitoring. Continual monitoring and research are crucial for effective wildlife conservation in ecotourism destinations. Through scientific studies, wildlife populations and their habitats can be better understood. This knowledge can inform management decisions, aid in conservation efforts, and ensure the long-term viability of ecotourism destinations. 8. Overcoming challenges. Despite the positive aspects of wildlife conservation in ecotourism, challenges persist. These include insufficient funding for conservation activities, poaching, habitat degradation, and the potential for ecological disruption caused by human activities. Addressing these challenges requires strong partnerships between governments, local communities, NGOs, and tourism operators to develop effective strategies for long-term conservation. Governments, NGOs, local communities, and tourism operators need to work together towards a shared goal of preserving wildlife and their habitats. This collaborative approach enables the pooling of resources, expertise, and knowledge, leading to more effective conservation strategies and initiatives. 10. Supporting sustainable livelihoods. Another important aspect of wildlife conservation in ecotourism destinations is supporting sustainable livelihoods for local communities. Sustainable livelihoods not only benefit the local economy but also create a sense of ownership and pride in preserving the natural environment. 11. Harnessing technology for conservation. The use of technology can greatly contribute to wildlife conservation efforts in ecotourism destinations. Additionally, social media and online platforms can be utilized to raise awareness, educate visitors, and mobilize support for conservation initiatives. This plan should include goals, objectives, and measurable targets for biodiversity preservation, habitat restoration, and community involvement. Regular evaluations and adaptations of the plan based on new scientific findings and changing circumstances will ensure its continued relevance and efficacy. 13. Connecting wildlife conservation and climate change. Climate change poses significant challenges to wildlife conservation and ecotourism destinations. Rising temperatures, changing rainfall patterns, and habitat loss directly impact wildlife populations. To address this issue, it is crucial to integrate climate change considerations into conservation efforts. This can involve implementing measures to reduce carbon emissions, promoting sustainable energy sources, and adapting conservation strategies to mitigate the impacts of climate change on wildlife. 14. Sharing best practices and lessons learned. Sharing best practices and lessons learned among ecotourism destinations is vital for continuous improvement and innovation in wildlife conservation. By exchanging knowledge and experiences, destinations can learn from each other's successes and challenges, leading to more effective conservation strategies. International conferences, workshops, and collaborative research projects serve as platforms for sharing such information and fostering a global community of conservation practitioners. 15. Advocating for policy changes. Effective wildlife conservation in ecotourism destinations also requires supportive policy frameworks at local, national, and international levels. Advocacy for policy changes that prioritize wildlife conservation, sustainable tourism, and community involvement is essential. This can involve engaging with policymakers, conducting research to support policy recommendations, and raising public awareness about the importance of strong conservation policies. Celebrating success stories also helps in generating public support and motivating further conservation efforts. 17. Embracing responsible wildlife tourism. One important aspect of wildlife conservation in ecotourism destinations is the promotion of responsible wildlife tourism. This entails encouraging visitors to engage in activities that do not harm or disturb the wildlife and their habitats. By embracing responsible wildlife tourism, visitors can have enjoyable experiences while minimizing their ecological footprint. 18. Supporting conservation organizations. Conservation organizations play a crucial role in wildlife conservation in ecotourism destinations.